I've been doing this game for a while. I've got about 15 or 20 cards, and this part never gets old. A brand new card coming in the mail, but once it shows up and you have it and the wait is over, what do you actually have to do to start getting your points and make sure you're getting maximum value? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead, get inside, get this thing open and set up, and everything you need to know to take care of maximum value on your new card. Alright guys, and now that we are back in the normal setup here inside, don't love going outside, but I thought it was a decent enough intro deal here. So, like we said, here's the list. When you get a new card, there's some things you need to do. And so the first one, obviously pretty self-explanatory, is to activate the card. Now, if this is your first card, of course, there'll be a sticker on the front of the card with a phone number. You can call the automated machine and do that. It'll just ask you for like the card number, some of your information to prove it's you activating it, and then there you go. You could also go through the app and do it that way. Of course, peel off the sticker when you're done. So activation means you can simply start using your card immediately. Now, with that though, it's important to know as we talk about going from activation into bonuses, right? When you get a credit card, more often than not, you're getting it because you want a sign-up bonus, which usually reads, spend $3,000 in the first 90 days from account opening to get $300, $500, whatever it is back. The key word there is account opening, because there's a timer. Again, that 90 days is your timer, but the 90 days starts at account opening. What account opening means is the date you're approved for the card. So, a lot of cards, if you're lucky enough, you're going to get an instant approval. That's been cool. You know where you stand. Some of them, you're going to have to go through a process and maybe get an approval a few days later. Been there, done that. Nothing wrong with it as long as you get the yes in the end. Either way, that day that they tell you you're approved is the date the timer starts. The timer does not start when you activate the card. Technically, the timer's already started, even though it takes 7 to 14 days from what they disclose to you for the card to leave their shop to you. So, it's one of those things that definitely sucks, but that's just be aware of it. I guess there's nothing we can really do about it. Now, with that, the bonuses. Some credit card issuers like Chase actually give you a bonus tracker underneath the card, which is a progress bar that shows you by spend, where you're at to meet your goal. And, in my experience, they're usually pretty good. It'll update, not in live time, it'll update, a few days later once the money or the charge posts to the account. Other issuers like a U.S. Bank don't do this at all. Citi, for whatever reason, my Custom Cash had one, my Double Cash does not. And so really the trick here is if you don't have one, you might just want to get in the habit of making one. Now, making one doesn't really have to be super complex. Really what I do for the Citi Double Cash that I'm doing right now, it's, spend $1,500 in 6 months time. So, what I do is I will just open up a notes tab on my phone, and at the end of the month when a billing cycle closes and I make the full payment, I will just note how much I paid, right? That's easier than logging every single purchase. You don't really need to go that granular, so, because again, it's over 6 months. Most of them are over 3 months, but you could, of course, go back into your statements and filter that way as well, if you prefer to do that. But again, a lot of us have a bunch of other cards we're trying to maximize and everything, so it helps me out to know how much I have to go so I can plan accordingly. I will talk about maximizing value at the end of this, though. Now, with that, even if you have a live spend tracker in app, like for Chase, for example, returns don't count, right? So in my experience, even if I've returned something, the spend tracker didn't decrease from that. Now, I don't know how uptight they are. Technically, a return should not count. So if you return a $100 item, you should have to spend another $100, right, to make up for that spend. Sometimes they still give it to you. Sometimes they don't. Again, it's better to err on the side of caution and just, spend the extra $100. I mean, realistically, even if you overspend on a bonus hunting a little bit, obviously we're not saying buy stuff you weren't going to buy, but just, normal everyday spend, you're still going to get some points for it. It's not the worst thing in the world, just to ensure you get the bonus. So be mindful of returns, even if you're not tracking it yourself. Now, in addition to that, with bonuses, annual fees do not count towards minimum spend, and credits don't either. So if you're using something like a Amex Gold card, you get the dining credit. That $10 of that should not count because, again, it was rebated or refunded back to you. So just track that accordingly as well. Now, that is bonuses, right? That's a big part of it. But another big part of cards is perks and, benefits, right? So a lot of these, actually most of these, you're going to have to opt into or activate yourself, which is very silly. And I could do a whole hour complaining about it, or we could just tell you what you need to know. I'm going to assume you just want me to tell you what you need to know. So if you take something like a Chase Freedom Flex, they have the 5% rotating quarterly categories. You do need to opt into those, right? It's very easy to do. They'll send you an email to do it. You can go in or go through the app and activate them. It's just remembering that you have to do it. So even if you get the card mid-quarter, you still have to activate it. And of course, that will be retroactive throughout the quarter for your spend to be at 5x, which is nice. But again, then going forward, you have to activate it as well every single quarter. I believe it's the same on the Discovery Cash. If you had something like the US Bank Cash Plus, you're going to have to go in and choose your categories, right? So just be mindful of that. Now, if you have one of the more expensive travel cards, like an Amex Platinum or an Amex Gold, well then, you've got a little bit of homework here to do. Because what you're going to want to do is go into, your Amex account, your profile there, and they should have benefits section, and you're going to have to go through line by line and activate or opt into them. Now, there's varying degrees of what opt-in actually means. Some case it literally just means, like in the case of the dining credit, you have to tell them, yes, you would like your dining credit. Again, it's silly, but you have to do it or it won't count. One of the biggest frustrations I hear is someone say, hey, I got the card, but I never got my coupon for it. I'm like, well, did you activate it? Well, no. And of course, we can go around in circles. Why would I need to tell Amex I wanted the dining credit? But it's another barrier, friction point that they can put in there to keep people from cashing in on everything. So activate. Now, activate can mean activate and link would be a better way actually to say it, because some things you simply have to link as well. So if you go, for the Uber credit, really to get the Uber credit, for example, you have to add your Platinum or add your Gold card to your Uber account, because the credit's going to appear in your Uber account, right? So I would say activate / link. If you're talking about the airline incidental credit, then of course you're going to have to choose your airline, things like that. It's not hard to do, I promise. I'm just kind of annoyed why all this that you have to do it, so I'm probably making it sound harder than it really is. And truth be told, once you do it with like the Amex card, you're good. You usually don't have to change it year to year or activate it year to year unless you want to change your airline carrier or something like that. So just be sure to take care of all of those before you start using your card. Now, in addition to that, now that we know that we have our bonuses and our benefits, another thing you're going to want to do is, again, I say add your card to anywhere you'd want to add it to. Again, like we talked about Uber, but, for me, like I say, the Freedom, I'm playing cash back right now, so my Freedom Unlimited at 1.5x was what I call my catch-all card, the card I use when I don't have a lot of categories for it. Well, now my Citi Double Cash is 2%, and if I'm playing cash back, 2, obviously better than 1.5. So for me, I need to sit down, take my Double Cash, and link it everywhere else I need it to be, right? So if it's easier to do it in the moment, take 5 minutes to do it, than it is to be trying to make a purchase. I'm like, oh yeah, I should have done this. Similar to my US Bank Cash Plus card. Once it's activated, once I've chosen my category, I want to bring it to the gym with me the next day because I'm using it for my gym membership. So I need to get it on file with the front desk. So, just kind of housekeeping that you can go through in order, so make sure you do it all. Now, the other one here, the more of the housekeeping stuff, the important stuff is, I would say, notifications and auto pay, right? So, when I first started out, all my cards were Chase. It was really easy to never miss a payment because I was always in the Chase app, and you can see when they come due and just, make your payment. But now that I have Chase cards and Citi cards and Huntington Bank cards and US Bank cards, I don't check all those apps all the time, right? So, where before notifications are actually pretty annoying, what you want to do is go in card by card, and what I did, at least for Citi in this example, is they have a setting we can go in and you can say, hey, let me know. I think the earliest they'll let you know when a bill is due is 21 days before, because that's the grace period, I think it is. So I say, hey, let me know as early as possible when the statement closes in case I don't have eyes on it, and either you can just have them send you an email, a text, or a push notification to the app. And I do that for all my accounts and all my cards, just in case. Other thing you can also do is set up, auto pay. You could do it for at least the minimum payment each month. And what that's going to do is it's going to ensure that you don't miss a payment, right? So, a lot of times the minimum's either going to be a percentage of the balance or $25, whichever one is more, I think. And so you could just say, hey, always auto pay $25. That way, yes, in the worst case scenario, you'd be carrying a balance and you'd pick up some interest. You wouldn't have a missed payment. So again, the more cards you add, the more issuers you have, the more important that step becomes. Trust me. I used to have only Chase cards. Now with multiple issuers, it's definitely an important step to do. Now, really quick here, another one could be annual fee reminders. Now, again, sometimes we get cards and they're keeper cards. Other times we get credit cards and we know we're not really going to keep them. So my Chase Ink Premier, for example, I got that for a specific use case. It's got a $195 annual fee. I know I'm not going to keep that card, right? So, I would you could set up, an annual fee reminder, because again, they're not going to tell you, the card issuer is not going to tell you the annual fee is coming up. They're simply going to post it to your statement basically at the start of month 13 or the end of your 12-month billing cycle. And, if you have auto pay on to one of our other points, then, you might just end up paying that and not really want to. So it could be a good idea to just set a note in your phone for maybe like month 11 and a half or something of having the card to, hey, check annual fee or something like that. Because you got to remember, unfortunately, you can't proactively cancel the card, because, again, the issuer is going to get mad at you. It's a whole thing. You really have to wait till you've had the card for 1 full year before you can cancel. But so long as you do cancel the card or downgrade it within 30 days of the annual fee posting, then that annual fee should be totally wiped out or totally refunded, even if you did pay it. Just really important to note that it's another one of those things that issuers do that really annoy me personally, so just be on the lookout for that. Now, last one here, I would say, is maximize the value. Simple enough. Maximize the value and have fun. Because it goes back to our last point, is the more cards you get, it takes a minute to sit down, after, of course, when you're doing the sign-up bonus, you're going to want to focus all your spend on that one card. But after that, be sure to, figure out how you're going to add that card into your rotation. A good use of time is to do it quarterly when all the What's in Your Wallet videos come out. That's when I do it, where I sit down, I know what the new rotating categories are. I know what new cards I have are on the radar, then you can kind of pick and choose what cards to use where. That's really going to help you maximize value, because, again, if you go back to one of our beginning points, part of sign-up bonuses is really to, get people accustomed to using a certain card and associate that card with outsized value. So for the Double Cash, if you're using Double Cash for 6 months to spend $1,500, by the time I'm done with it, I've used that card so much, I'm used to it, it's in my wallet, and I do mentally associate that card with good things and value. You just want to make sure you're not falling for that trick, and so that's why we say do it quarterly. Quarterly is enough. I mean, if you're playing hyper aggressive, you can do it at your own cadence, really, but quarterly should be enough to, hey, what's my setup going to be for this quarter? That's usually, because, again, that's when the quarterly categories come out, which usually introduces the most amount of variance into setups there. But anyways, guys, if you follow that guide, it should be easy enough to set up your credit card and make sure you get the maximum value from your benefits, your credits, your multipliers, all of it, and of course, leverage that very nicely into your existing setup. So anyways, guys, if you like this one, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, of course, consider subscribing to the channel, because we're posting content just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and of course, right back here every Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Again, my question for you guys is, let me know, one, do you still get excited when you get a new credit card in the mail, or am I the only one? And number two, what is your setup process? Anything else you would like to see added to this list? Love to get your thoughts on that. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and talk to you very soon in the next one.